Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's City Council meeting of May 15th, 2017. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Ford.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Bullock.
Here.
Councilmember Amador.
Present.
Councilmember Teeter.
Here.
Councilmember Carson. Councilmember Diaz.
Here.
Councilmember McEldowney.
Here.
Councilmember Elliott.
Present.
Councilmember Douglas.
Present.
Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. And for the record, there are 8 of us here. We are missing Councilwoman Carson, and I'm open for a motion to allow for her excused absence. Let me get this thing working here. Oh, it's not working. All right, there we go. Mr. Teeter.
I'll make a motion to excuse Ms. Carson for tonight's meeting.
Thank you. Mr. Amador.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to excuse Councilwoman Carson from tonight's meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. First item on our agenda is an executive session. I'm open for a motion and a second to enter into an executive session pursuant to CRS 24-6-402, Parents 4, Parents A, and Parents E to discuss the acquisition of real property interests at 7200 Highway 2, to determine positions, develop strategy, and instruct negotiators relative to such acquisitions. Mr. Bullock.
So moved.
Mr. McEldowney.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to go into that executive session. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. We are now going into our executive session. Our intent is to be out here by 7 o'clock to resume this meeting. So please be patient, and we'll get back out of executive session as soon as we can. to the dais, please.
You're working the crowd, huh?
All right, everybody. We have a lot of people here tonight. That's nice to see. I want to welcome you all to tonight's council meeting. We just got out of an executive session, so the meeting's already been called to order. So for the record, Councilwoman Carson is not here this evening. And we're going to start with a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. And tonight, I want to recognize a person that has been a longtime resident of this community, has done so much for this community, that passed away a couple of days ago, Mr. Al Klein. Al Klein, when I was a young kid, I used to go around and help him work on his rentals. And I know Gene was always kind of portrayed as the star of that family, but Al really helped hold that family together. And he will be dearly missed by many of us, and as well as this community, for what he put into this community. So if I can get everybody to rise for a moment of silence for Al Klein, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I'm going to turn the floor over real quick to Mayor Pro Tem Bullock to tell you when Al Klein's funeral will be.
Okay, Al Klein's funeral will be next week, Monday, at 10 o'clock at the Highlands Memorial up on 102nd and Grant. And his viewing will be Sunday from 3 to 6 at the mortuary up there on 102nd and Grant Street. So, yeah, just this side of I-25 on 104th. When you're going up I-25 and you get to 104th, that cemetery over there, just go to main office, and that's the mortuary. Thank you.
All right. Want to allow the audience to introduce themselves, and we have a lot of folks here tonight, so our staff is going to go around and pass the microphone. If you'll just state your name for us, we'll get the meeting underway.
Audience introduction. Would you like to give your name?
Álvaro.
Want to give your name?
Osvaldo. Shane. Sadie. Sterling.
Sarah.
Ken Evans, I'm the Deputy Chief with the Police Department.
Could you just pass it down for me?
Rocio. Savannah Watts. DJ Coleman.
Leanne Giacomino.
Madison Pyburn.
Cameron Nichols.
Alicia Vigil.
Alexis McCarthy.
Taylor Kemp.
Amanda Alvarado.
Adriana Vargas. Natalie Chavez.
Madison Kemp.
Jordan McCarthy.
Caitlin Mack.
Aspen Sharp.
Morgan Miller.
Guillermo Serna. Bill Hyde.
Lauren Hernandez.
Isaac Campbell.
Austin Abkey.
Janan Johnson.
Michael Johnson.
Shannon Eckert.
Jason Ullman.
Matt Brown.
Allison Apke. Jordan Johnson. Nicole Mack. Taylor McCarthy.
Alan Trudell.
Matt Thomason.
Barbara Aguilera.
Lissy Henson.
Andrew Pahaley.
Lorraine O'Gean. Amber Alcaraz.
Lawrence Alcaraz.
Steve Ortega.
Stacy Reiber.
Colin Taylor.
Josette Alvarado.
Judy Nichols.
Daniel Delacruz.
Mariah Martinez.
Javier Noriega. Mariah Foster. Melissa Varela.
Gregorio Varela.
Shirley Valentine. Maureen Lieb.
Ashley Lieb.
Kiki.
What's your name?
Mama. Bailey Lieb.
Alicia Burnett.
Shelley Powell.
Lorenzo Garcia.
Angela Garcia.
Jill Cabrera.
Savannah.
Where'd you go? I got it, Kathy. You can finish over there.
Brianna Vigil.
Alicia Vigil. Tracy Trujillo.
Eli Trejo.
Ivan Vigil.
Roxana Duran.
Eldon Donovan.
Judy Flowers.
Addison.
Shannon Flowers.
Kaden Watt.
Bruce Emery.
Tilly Villarreal.
Thelma Cole. Alec Romard.
Joanne Hart. Carol Harvell.
Zach Roth. Glenn Batista. Derek Tripp.
Julia Stanek.
Jim Carvajal.
Andre Carbajal.
Susan Carbajal.
Karen O'Donnell, Parks, Recreation, and Golf.
James Flowers.
Pauline Fowler.
Brian Watts.
Anaya Vigil.
Teresa Vigil.
Jeanette Coleman.
Candy Camp.
Mara and Isaiah Vargas.
Kathy Blakeman, Human Resources.
George Maxey.
Jenny Lovert.
Jody Vale.
Danielle Cosby. Elena Lau. Loretta Lau.
Michael Allen.
All right. We got through that so we can get through the rest of this meeting, I'm sure. Except for the one young man that just is being awful quiet back there. First item on the agenda, normally I don't do this, but I'm going to do it tonight. I'm going to ask to amend the agenda to allow for a recognition because I know there are several young ladies in the audience that have a limited amount of time that they can be here this evening. So I'm asking for a motion to amend the agenda, allow for that recognition to happen now. Mr. McEldowney.
So moved.
Mr. Bullock.
Second.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. And it is a pleasure to find out that the Prairie View girls soccer team went 15-0 this year. And the coach assured me that next year they're going to take the championship. Right, Coach? I'm putting a little pressure on you. All right, can I have all the soccer players and their coaches please come up and take a picture with the city council tonight? It is a a great thing. Yep, we're going to come down there. It's just an awesome opportunity to have youth in our community excel and do so well, and they deserve full recognition for what they've accomplished.
I know we got a lot of cameras, but look at me for a second. All right. And give it a second for the autofocus if you would. So let's hold if you can, please. All right, everybody right here? It's coming, I promise. Okay, hang on. Let's do one more of those. There's a lot of eyes up here. There's a lot of eyes up here. Okay. Okay. Right here. All right. I think that's pretty close. Thank you, guys.
Yep, thanks.
All right, now we're going to get into our agenda. We have some proclamations and recognitions, and I think this was just awesome when we have organizations that do great in Commerce City, that we make sure that we celebrate that they did well. And I know as a parent and having kids in school that the parents do a ton, so the parents deserve a lot of recognition for the accomplishments of that soccer team. So the first proclamation is going to be recognizing the Adams County Aging Network Award winners. So I'd like to invite Derek Tripp to the podium, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. I've got the honor tonight to announce a couple award winners from the Adams County Aging Network Conference that just took place a couple months back. I'm presenting this first award on behalf of Rec Manager Karen O'Donnell, as she's got a physical injury tonight. So all of you know the recipient of this year's ACAN Senior of the Year Award. She is extremely active in the Commerce City community. Susan Carbajal has served the community for many years, but most recently through the Capital Improvement Program Citizen Advisory Committee, the Commerce City Cultural Council, and various public art selection committees. Not only has Susan committed her time to these groups, but she has taken on multiple leadership roles. She served as the co-chair of KIPCAC, the VP of Cultural Council, and has chaired the Music in the Park series. She has done all of this with professionalism, tenacity, and kindness. Her nominator truly feels that no one deserved the honor more than Susan, and was thrilled to hear that she was selected. Please join me in congratulating Susan Carbajal.
I got to say a couple of things. From the old to the young, it inspires me. I was there once, so I really enjoyed watching them receive that honor. First of all, I'd like to thank my husband of 50 years who has allowed me to feel my desire to serve and help others. I wouldn't be the woman today that I am without his love, support, and understanding. And then I want to tell just a very brief story. I know that you've got a long agenda, so it won't take long. But I got to tell you the story of this woman I met when I was about 35. She was a volunteer. I worked for the American Cancer Society. And she was just full of energy and vibrance. She was all over the place. And she was older. And one time I sat and talked to her, and I said, "Just how old are you?" And she said, "I'm 75. Now, that floored me, but it inspired me. I looked at her and I said, "I hope when I'm your age, I can have the same amount of commitment and energy and dedication to helping others that you do." So she was my inspiration all these years. And then I want to read this to you very quickly. It's my favorite line. "I shall pass through this world but once. Any good, therefore, that I can do, or any kindness that I can show to any human being, let me do it now. Let me not defer or neglect it, for I shall not pass this way again." Thank you very much to ACAN and to Council for your support in this great honor. I will do my very best to be worthy of it. Thank you.
And just hang on just a second. Susan, I haven't known you all my life growing up in Commerce City, but I've known of you and your family. I know that you guys have always done a lot. Matter of fact, when I was young and growing up in Commerce City and in high school, you always had the best Christmas decorations. And I always asked about these Christmas decorations. I said, my God, how does a guy even have that many outlets and enough service to provide this? And I can't recall meeting your husband until tonight.
Oh.
And everybody always told me it's because he's an electrician. That's why they have so many lights on their house. So it's an honor to meet your husband, knowing that he was the electrician that wired and really gave public service a lot of money back in those days. But to you, Susan, and everything you do for this community, it doesn't matter what it is or where it is. You always seem to be there, and you always seem to be trying to do your best to abide by the little quotation you just read us. So you are more than deserving of this honor, and we are proud that you're a Commerce City resident and that you were chosen to have this award. So keep doing the things you're doing. It's appreciated not only by this city council, but by this whole community. And congratulations on your anniversary. I wished I could have been there, but I know you just met a milestone with your husband for 50 years. So congratulations to the both of you. And keep up the good work.
Thank you.
I have a few folks that have something to say. Councilwoman Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've actually known the Carbajal family for many years. Her son sitting right next to her. He and I were in school for many, many years, played in band together. I have the honor of sitting with Susan on Cultural Council, and I can honestly tell you she's a joy to work with, very tenacious, very passionate. When she decided to take on the Music in the Park series, I think she kind of went into it with kind of like deer in the headlights look, but yet in a fact that she knew she'd get it done. And it has grown tremendously over the last few years. And I know that we've talked to Susan in meetings just recently, and she says, I couldn't do it without my group. But I just wanted to commend you. Well-deserved. And you're such a loving person and such an icon in the community. So kudos to you and much love to you as well.
Mr. McEldowney.
I first want to say congratulations. And second, I want to go back to your comment about the person that inspired you to step into these steps, this life of helping and serving in your community. I feel like I've had this conversation recently with several people about people assuming that somebody else is going to do something, whether it's driving down the road and you see that the street light's out, and then you drive by it for another week or 2 or 3 and the street light's out, assuming that somebody else must have called, right? They had to do that, of course. And the reality is maybe somebody didn't. And it does come down to you or someone like you that is willing to take that step because we can't assume that somebody else is going to do it. And if it weren't for you and the time that you spend and your family supports you to spend in this community, there are things that may not have happened. And it's hard to sort of connect those dots easily, but I think it's important, and I want to make sure that folks are aware of your story, because we need you to be that inspiration for the next individual who sees you and all that you're doing. And it could be somebody that you're working with on Cultural Council or any one of these groups that you're so deeply involved in. Hopefully you're that spark that helps them stay involved over the long term, because that's what makes communities stronger. And that's what makes us all proud to be part of a community. When we think of great communities, it's because of, and many times it's those unseen people behind the scenes who are doing what you're doing to help make our community better. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, Derek.
Thank you, Susan. And I want to say the 2 major awards at the ACAN conference were actually given to Commerce City, one individual and one business. So Dino's 6 and 85 restaurant is passionate about giving back to the community. Dino's and the City of Commerce City Senior Advisory Committee collaborate to provide meals during the winter holidays to seniors in the community who are homebound. When Lorenzo Garcia was approached with the idea of preparing meals for the city program, he not only accepted but wanted to match that number of meals ordered, so we were able to double the amount delivered. We delivered 50 meals last year and will look to increase that number again in 2017. He also opened the doors of his restaurant and provided meals to different service organizations in the community last year. Lorenzo offers these services with no expectations, but to give back to the community that his business has served for many years. Thank you, Lorenzo and Dino's Restaurant, for the ACAN Business of the Year Award.
I just want to thank the senior citizens in Commerce City. And when I first met them about 4 years ago, when I first opened a Dino 6 and 85, it was like love at first sight with the people that are here. And I hope I can do this every year as long as I have Dino 6 and 85. I have no problem. I enjoy it. And I'd just like to make another announcement. Last week I opened my second Dino's 76 in Keensburg, Colorado. And this was our first week opening. And we're doing the same thing with the senior citizens in Keensburg. So if you guys like to, come into our restaurant, and we'd love to have you, each and every one of you. I don't know what else to say, but I really, really love this award. Thank you, Commerce City.
Mr. Lorenzo? You know, it was a pleasure to see you take over Dino 6 and 85. Growing up, when I was about 5 years old, my grandmother was a short order cook at Dino 6 and 85. So I spent a lot of time up there, and it was nice to see it reopen, and it's even better that it has really good food.
Thank you.
The other day, I was driving. I was headed out to go to a fishing tournament, and I told my wife, I said, we got to pull off in Keensburg because there's Dino's I-76. And I pulled up to the building, and there was a gentleman outside, and I said, hey, are you guys open? We're ready to eat. He said, no, not till next week. But he informed me he was your brother or brother-in-law.
He was an employee.
Okay. But he was a very nice man, and he told me to come back once you were open. So it's great to see that you're expanding. And I try to tell every business that comes before this council that we don't want you to just be here and get the benefit of taking money from our residents for providing a service. It's truly important to do what you're doing as a business in our community, and that's to be a corporate citizen, be involved with the community, participate with the residents that live here, and you are truly doing that, and I want to thank you for your efforts. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Lorenzo.
Thank you.
All righty. Now we got Education Project Award winners. Derek Tripp. Well, you're going to be up here all night, Derek.
All right. The Recreation Education Project was a collaborative idea between Councilman Paulo Diaz and Recreation Manager Karen O'Donnell to create a competition that would create excitement among the Commerce City Elementary School student leaders about promoting recreation in their community. We communicated with the school student councils, asking them to brainstorm, plan, and eventually implement an offering for the Good Friends Pancake Breakfast fundraiser event that took place on Saturday, May 6th at the Commerce City Rec Center. This project could include, but was not limited to entertainment, an activity for children, families, or seniors in attendance, a piece of artwork that could be displayed in the senior center, or any other unique idea they could come up with. The winner was selected by members from the Senior Advisory Committee. We had 3 elementary schools that submit project proposals. The 2 runner-up schools were Second Creek Elementary and Allsup Elementary. The winner of our Recreation Education Project was Central Elementary. The proposal that they submitted and eventually performed was a science corner. Members from the student council set up 5 science stations that they chose in attendance that those in attendance could interact with, from volcanoes to oobleck. The audience seemed to really enjoy the science corner, and it was a great addition to our event. Thank you to 5th grade teacher Shannon Eckert and the Central Elementary Student Council. And if we have anybody here from Central, Allsup, or Second Creek, I'd love you to come up, and I have an award I want to give you. Come on up. So we have Central and Second Creek here, so thank you all so much for your submittals, and hopefully we'll do it again next year. Thanks a lot.
Hey, Derek, let's bring them on up so we can get a picture.
Bring them on up. You guys want to come back up for pictures? Come on back up.
I can't let Prairie View have a picture and not these young
That's right.
folks.
Going up on the stage. We'll also be providing them with 2 pool passes for the summer. Each of the kids with 2 pool passes. So, yeah.
I'll be right there.
shirt right here, could you just scoot a little bit to the left? There we go, that's good. I couldn't see your face before. And you, young lady in the stripes, oh wait, oh yeah, there we go, that's good, that's good. All right, I think we got everybody's face here. Okay, young man in the blue shirt right there, can you scoot to your right just a little bit? Scoot this way for me. Thank you. Okay. All right, everybody hold the pose for a second for me. Who's got the dab? Hang on. All right, let me get one more if you would, please. Okay, here it comes. Yeah.
If we could get Lorenzo and Susan to come back up too to the stage for a quick picture, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. Everybody right here, please. Just give it a second. One more, huh? Yep, one more. You got to get two of them. Yeah. Okay. All right, thanks.
Out of town or what? It just came today when I was at the museum.
All right, we're going to move on in our agenda. We're going to get into the proclamation portion of our agenda. And we have 3 proclamations this evening. And the way I'm going to do this is the way I did the proclamations a couple of weeks ago, where we're going to read and consider all the 3 proclamations, and after those proclamations are considered by the council, then we'll go down and take pictures in that same order with the recipients of those proclamations. Okay? So, first proclamation is Kids to Park Day proclamation. Derek Tripp, you're up again. Come on up. I'm ready to have him read it. Derek, you just stand there and look pretty, would you please?
Try that.
It's all right. It's your turn to be on the spotlight. Can I ask Deputy Attorney Matt Hader to please read the proclamation?
Proclamation 1708. Whereas May 19 to 21, 2017 is the 7th Kids to Parks Day organized and launched by the National Park Trust. And whereas Kids to Parks Day empowers kids and encourages families to get outdoors and visit America's parks. And whereas we should encourage children to lead a more active lifestyle to combat the issues of childhood obesity, diabetes, and hypertension. And whereas Commerce City is home to the nation's largest urban wildlife refuge, which boasts more than 330 animal species, hiking and walking trails, self-guided tours, and breathtaking views of the Front Range. And whereas Commerce City has more than 700 acres of open and park space residents can enjoy, and whereas Kids to Parks Day will broaden children's appreciation for nature and the outdoors, and now, therefore, be it resolved that the City of Commerce City hereby proclaims May 19 to 21, 2017 as the Kids to Parks Days and urge residents to make time to take the children in their lives to a neighborhood, state, or national park.
Thank you. All right, proclamation has been read. I'm open for a motion. Mr. McEldowney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would move to approve the Kids to Parks Day proclamation.
Thank you, Mr. Bullock.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. And Derek, we will ask you to come up here in a minute and take a picture when I hand you this proclamation. All right? So don't go anywhere. All right. Next, we have Older Americans Month 2017 proclamation. I'd like to ask the Deputy City Attorney to read that proclamation.
Proclamation 17-10. Whereas the City of Commerce City includes older Americans who richly contribute to our community, whereas Commerce City acknowledges that what it means to age has changed for the better, whereas Commerce City is committed to supporting older adults as they take charge of their health, explore new opportunities and activities, and focus on independence, whereas Commerce City can provide opportunities to enrich the lives of individuals of all ages by involving older adults in the redefinition of aging in our community, promoting home and community-based services that support independent living, encouraging older adults to speak up for themselves and others, and providing opportunities for older adults to share their experiences. And whereas Commerce City is establishing a senior commission, the purpose of which is to advise the City Council to foster greater understanding of senior citizens, encourage greater senior citizen participation in community issues, inform the community of available services, programs, and resources, and advocate for issues of importance to older adults. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City of Commerce City hereby proclaims May 2017 to be Older Americans Month and urges every resident to take time to acknowledge older adults as influential and vital parts of our community.
Thank you. Proclamation's been read. Mr. Bullock.
I move to accept the proclamation.
Mr. Teeter.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the proclamation as read. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. I would ask that all you older adults please stick around because you will come up and take a picture. All right. Public Works Week proclamation. All right, Matt Hader.
Proclamation 17-12. Whereas public works services provided in our community are an integral part of our citizens' everyday lives, and whereas the supportive and understanding and informed citizenry is vital to the efficient operation of public works systems and programs such as streets and bridges, drainage, public buildings, fleet, and solid waste and recycling management, and whereas the health, safety, and comfort of this community greatly depends on these facilities and services, and whereas the quality and effectiveness of these facilities, as well as their planning, design, and construction, are vitally dependent upon the effort and skill of public works staff, and whereas the efficiency of the qualified and dedicated Public Works Department personnel is materially influenced by their attitude and understanding of the importance of the work they perform, now therefore be it resolved that the City of Commerce City proclaims the week of May 21 to 27, 2017 as National Public Works Week in Commerce City. Be it further resolved that we call upon all citizens to acquaint themselves with the issues involved in providing our public works and to recognize the contributions which public works personnel make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life.
All right. Proclamation's been read. Mr. Amador.
Move to approve proclamation.
Thank you. Mr. Diaz. I have a motion and a second to approve the proclamation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. I want to start out by saying a few words about the Public Works Week. That happens to be a department that I worked for 10 years, many, many years ago. And it's still very near and dear to my heart. One of those departments that you never forget about sitting in the role that I'm in, because it's the little things that people don't recognize on a day-to-day basis, whether it's the crack in their street or a pothole or weeds that are growing up in an area that needs to be maintained. I'll never forget the days of walking alongside of the old Arsenal fence before it was a refuge and picking up trash a mile from the truck and then carry the trash back and then move the truck up. It was always one of those things as an employee that you knew that a lot of people didn't recognize what the effort you were putting into doing for their community. But I will never forget what it means to have a public works department that takes that initiative and tries to take care of the smaller things that really start to irritate people. Where it's that street light that's out that needs to be turned in, like Mr. McEldowney said a while ago, or whether it's the pothole that needs to be filled because it's in front of their grandmother's driveway. So to all of our Public Works Department employees, thank you for what you do every day for our residents in our community. And every day, remember that you are improving the quality of life for the residents of our community. And keep doing what you're doing and hold your head up in pride while you do it, because you are an important and vital part of our community. So thank you very much. Now I want to say a few things about our aging network, which I am slowly becoming a part of. It won't be long now. I started working for the city when I was pretty young. And let's see, 1990, I was about 12. No, not 12, Renee. I was about 18 years old, I think. 19, 20, I don't know, right in there. And it's amazing how quickly time passes. I remember when it was the old gentleman on this council, when my father was a manager of the water district, and making sure that he always told me how important it was to take care of the seniors. I remember previous mayor that helped make sure that the senior center was a component of our rec center when it was built back in the mid-'80s to provide a place for the seniors in our community. And there's one thing that's for certain. It's the aging population in our community that passes along all of the information necessary for that next generation to carry things forward. They're the ones who guide us and tell us about the mistakes that they made and not to make those mistakes again. And then we have the younger population that we worry about, making sure that they are informed so that they can make good decisions. But we don't have anything if we don't take care of our older adults and our youth in our community. So thank you all for what you do in our community and staying involved through organizations like our rec center. So you are truly appreciated in our community. I don't know, Mr. Tripp, what to say about you. The Kids to Parks Day is awesome, and I have to give credit to my fellow council members this year because they helped, and our residents, to get the 2K initiative passed, and we built 3 new parks this last year in our community. They're extremely nice parks. So we're continuing to change this community from what it was when I was young. There was an industrial component, and that's all people thought about. And now we have really great places to live in our community, and we're starting to have some of the best resources in the metro area for parks and recreation and opportunity in our community. Now, if I could only get the restaurants and the shopping to come through that we need, we would be in good shape. But as far as recreational opportunity, we have the largest national wildlife refuge in the nation in our backyard. Everybody needs to take advantage of it. But we have now these 3 new neighborhood parks. They're not floodplain detention ponds like our parks used to be when I was a kid in Commerce City. They are up out of the water. And you talk about departments, look at what our Public Works and our Parks Department has done with the building of the new water park, Paradise Island, Pioneer Park. There are so many amenities that we didn't have when I was a kid. There was no place to go play. So it's really nice to see that we have really grown and started to build some amenities that our residents deserve. And again, we are working towards those restaurants and those commercial shopping opportunities. But it's a great start to have one of the best parks and recreation opportunities for residents in the metro area. So thanks to the Parks Department and all other residents for supporting 2K. I see Mr. Bullock. Do you have something you want to say?
No, sir.
Mr. McEldowney.
I will start down the list as the mayor just did really quickly. I'll echo the mayor's comments in terms of the Kids to Parks Day proclamation. I think 2K has been an exciting step forward in providing opportunities for islands of kids in our northern range who didn't have local resources in many instances, and that creates problems when kids are bored. To see the way that those resources have been embraced by the schools and the communities around them, whether it's the kids hanging out after school or the flag football leagues that have taken shape. I swear every time I drive by one of these parks, it's just hopping, and it's great and exciting to see. In terms of the Public Works team, just an anecdote to sort of follow in the mayor's comments around the work that you all do. My wife always comments about how she knows she's at the city line during snow events because the nicely cared for roads end, and you end up in one of our neighbors' communities where maybe not so much. So those are things that our neighbors might not tell you about all the time, but those little things make a big difference. And I think it's the little details that stick in people's minds. And we hear a lot of the gripes all the time, but the reality is there's so much to be proud of, and the work that you all do is great. Notice the mowing operations going today, getting a head start on those activities. So it's always great to see people out and that work getting underway. The crack sealing, I'm sorry, Parks was doing the mowing. You guys were doing the crack sealing as part of the this year's pavement management. So again, thank you. And then in terms of the Older Americans Month, I think the mayor hit on a lot of that. Just thank you to the folks that are here that represent our community in that respect and have, as we talked about with Ms. Carbajal, taken this step to be actively involved in setting the course for our community. And we have another item on the agenda tonight that will even further the role of and the opportunity for engagement by that portion of our community in the processes of decision making and discovery. So thanks for being involved and staying involved and providing that ongoing example.
I have to clarify one thing. I know the Public Works Department has the big mowers. Parks Department has the little mowers. So thank you. You were right. You were right. I just want to make sure they knew. I knew. That's right. So first thing, we're going to come down. I would ask Derek Tripp, Karen O'Donnell, and anyone else from the Parks Department to come up to accept the Kids Park Day proclamation.
You hiding from me, Renee? Okay. All right. Everybody right here, please. Okay. I think that's it, side or on this side, maybe. Yeah, that's right. We're just gonna be friendly. That's all. Okay. And yeah, don't be shy there in the back. You gotta let me see your face there, please. All right, everybody right here, please. All right, we'll get another one. I got everybody's face in there.
Lovely work. Come on down.
We'll see if this reflects the flash there.
It'll be a rainbow of color.
Yeah, actually, Rick, could you shift this a bit to your right there? Okay, that's good. Now we can see if I think we're good. Okay. That's right. Okay, right here, everybody. All right, we'll get another one. You guys look good. All right. All right, I think we're good. Yeah.
But they were so far in front, nobody, I don't think it's visible. Okay.
Always a gentleman.
Citizens communication.
You know, and I need to mention what a great job our Public Works Department did in conjunction with the rest of our team on taking care of all the leaves and the limbs and the big event that we did over at the dog track, what was it, about a week ago?
Last Saturday.
Last Saturday. So thank you guys very much. All right, now we're going to get into citizen communication. And I have two people that have signed up on citizen communication. However, the high school girls soccer team has already left the building, and I think we took care of them earlier. And this is a very hard one for me to do because this is one of my favorite people in our community will be leaving us, and not looking forward to the transition. However, I want to wish her well. So, Shelley Powell, will you please come to the podium? Shelley Powell is the Vice President of Suncor. And Leisha, thank you for being here with Shelley. They are, seems like this ladies team has been for several years now over at Suncor and doing just a wonderful job. They're our biggest industrial component of our community, and they generate, I believe, the most tax revenue of all our industrial companies within our community. And we truly appreciate the leadership that you brought to Commerce City, Shelley. I really wish you well going back to Fort McMurray and being back in Canada. However, if it was up to me, we would just keep you. Mm-hmm. So I want to turn over, and you know, hopefully you're going to be here for the Suncor, the advisory. Or are you leaving before then?
I'm leaving tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
I know.
So we're all going to miss you.
I saw so many familiar faces here. I thought, oh boy.
Yeah, we're all going to miss you. It's El Jardin's dinner is not going to be the same
I'm
without
Shelley. I'm going to miss
Shelley.
El Jardin, that's for sure.
So, Shelley, as that great organization within our community that provides so much corporate residency that we look for, You are always there when Commerce City needs Suncor, Suncor's always there, whether it's with the Boys and Girls Club or many, many other type of efforts that you put into our community. I remember one year, Suncor called me and said, we've got contractors working and we need something for them to do in your community. And I asked them to do sprinkler shutoffs, winterizing sprinklers for all the senior citizens in Commerce City. And we need corporate partnerships like Suncor provides to this community. And I know with Leisha there, we're going to continue to make sure that effort is the same.
Bless you.
Bless you.
That normally doesn't happen to me, but you've been a great leader over there, and you stepped right into a role that we were concerned about, and you carried that role very well. We know that there's been incidences over at the refinery, under control, of course, but the flaring, the power being shut down, you're dealing with the light rail coming through around the property, managing how that works to be able to shut off, to stop that train on a minute's notice if there's any signs of any concern. So we know you've had the citizens' best interest at heart while you've been at Suncor. And I don't think our citizenry realizes that entity, that industrial component of our community, does its best to look out for the benefit of our residents and the safety of our residents. And so whenever there's anything, even if it's something minor, I'm always getting, someone's reaching out to me, like Leisha or someone on your team, and saying, hey, Mayor, just want to talk to you. This happened. It wasn't a big deal. We've got everything under control, and you need to hear it from me first. I wish every industrial business in our community had the same kind of mentality of taking care of this community that Suncor has. So, Shelley, a lot of that is because of your leadership and what you do for Suncor. You will be truly missed. I want to give you the mic to say goodbye, but then I want the council to come down and celebrate your new steps in your life. So go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, thank you very much for the kind words. It's been an absolute pleasure for me to get to know Commerce City over the last 3 years. I have a very good appreciation now for how hardworking this community is and for how focused it is on making sure that none of its citizens are left behind. And I think we don't have to look any further than the recipients and the groups that were recognized tonight to know how strong this community is. So it's been my absolute pleasure. I thank you for all of your leadership and for your city staff's leadership. The refinery has certainly benefited from that over the years. And we know that partnering with the community and with our neighbors is absolutely critical. And I know my successor will keep that vision and that path going forward. So thank you again for all of your encouragement and your partnership. I am sad to go. It is going to be tough to say goodbye tomorrow, but it's been my absolute pleasure. It's been such a great experience for me, and I am so thankful for it. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know.
Of course. Hey? I thought we were done. Biggest Kleenexes.
What's that?
I know. Come visit me anytime.
I know. No. There's a gentleman coming down here. But I'll still. Sir. Okay.
Surprised you. All right, we'll do one more, please. If you would.
Yes, I will take it. I will take it. Thank you.
You went up there, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm going to go back.
Go hunting?
No, just go back up to Fort McMurray and see the progress that they made. Okay.
Click it, I take it.
Now,
Click it, I
citizen communication. The only two that were on there was the soccer team and Shelley Powell. So I'm going to ask, is there anybody in the audience who didn't get the chance to sign up that would desire to have 3 minutes of the council's time tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on in the agenda.
There's music. Time to wake up.
Ordinance is on first reading. We have ordinance 2129. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the council on this ordinance? No, not seeing anybody. All right, I'm open for a motion and a second to introduce ordinance 2129 by council as seated. Mr. McEldowney.
So moved.
Mr. Bullock.
Second.
A motion and a second. Will the deputy city attorney read the title, please?
Ordinance 2129, an ordinance amending the 2017 budget of the City of Commerce City, Colorado by the recognition of the Colorado Department of Transportation grant in the amount of $2,000 for click it or ticket enforcement efforts and the authorization of the expenditure thereof.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Title's been read. I'll ask for a roll call vote. For the record, 8 in favor, 1 excused absence. Motion is carried. Next item is ordinances on second reading. We have ordinance 2128. This ordinance passed on first reading unanimously. However, since it would have been the only item on the consent agenda, it has been placed on ordinances on second reading. Is there anyone on the council that has a question regarding this ordinance? Mr. Bullock?
No, I was there to make a motion.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the council on this ordinance?
George Maxey.
George Maxey, come on up. Please state your name and address for the record.
Can I approach? May I approach?
Yes, you may.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Light.
Is there? Oh, okay, good enough. This is a momentous day in that you, our counselors, are letting seniors help each other, hopefully, to a better quality of life. For this, all seniors salute you. Do those of us who have researched what might be done or those we might help have all the answers? Not in your wildest imagination. The only certain thing is that today is day one and we start. In that council has inputs from all sectors and aspects of the city that might eventually have an effect on the senior population. We would hope that there is a continuous, informal, and usable communication and information flow both ways. Here is an attached list of many of the needs people of all ages want to maintain a comfortable life. For the moment, we have listed the 7 most prominent needs to be addressed, some solvable, some less so. These are especially problematic for those without family support of any kind. Housing, a physical issue. No meaningful solution near at hand for space. Some free or low-cost cleaning and maintenance services available. Food, a physical issue. Some free sources are available. Transportation to get those are needed. Home delivery available. Learning that process, a potential problem. Utilities, physical. Some limited resources available. Clothing, again, a physical issue. Some free or low-cost resources available. Transportation, again, a physical issue. Some low-cost resources available. Actionable information. This is a physical and emotional issue. Media, if read, seen, or understood. Mentoring by volunteers and friends. Memory issues. Physical, emotional issues again. Forms of dementia, socialization, helpful to a degree. The degree of importance of each of these issues will vary with each needy, vulnerable person. The two primary thrusts, understanding the benefits and uses of each existing resources or service. Developing teams of volunteers to mentor the needy, vulnerable with actionable information. Thus using existing tools to a greater degree of efficiency. This entire scenario is based on keeping costs to a minimum, and if federal funds or grants dry up, to still have a valuable program of help. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, George, and the rest of the seniors.
Thank you.
We know that a lot of those things that you have mentioned are definite needs in our community. And it's very frustrating when we see the housing prices going to the levels that they're going, to continue to try to find viable, affordable housing for seniors and others is tough to do. And we're working very hard. This council's been working very hard to try to come up with a solution on the dog trap property that will provide some housing needs. And we have to look at all the different options, whether it's tax credits or what that may be, to get housing in our community that will provide for seniors and for working class folks. So transportation's another one of those that you touched on, and we've talked several times about our own little bus system that would help in our community. However, there's a cost to everything, and so we're constantly trying to find ways to make everything work without breaking the bank. So these things are issues that are on our mind all the time. I think the best thing going on tonight is that we're looking at this ordinance on second reading. It will provide more opportunity for seniors to be engaged in our community. So with that said, is there anyone else in the audience who has anything they'd like to say before I move forward and ask for a motion? Seeing none, I'm open for a motion. Mr. Bullock.
Move to accept ordinance 2128 on second reading.
Thank you. Mr. McEldowney.
I would second.
I have a motion and a second. Will the Deputy City Attorney please read the title?
Ordinance 2128, an ordinance establishing a senior commission and amending the Commerce City Revised Municipal Code relative to such commission.
Thank you. I'll ask for a roll call vote. For the record, motion is carried. 8 in favor, 1 excused absence. It'll be a great thing to have in our community. Moving on in our agenda, we move to the presentation portion of this agenda. We're going to start with the Senior Advisory Committee presentation. I'd like to invite the committee forward to give their biannual presentation. Who's the committee? Oh, he's not the committee. Come on, I know. George is on the committee.
George is on the committee. George will be back up. You're right.
All right, Derek.
A nice seventh inning stretch there.
You know what? I was just joking when I said it's going to be a night that we're just going to hear from you.
Full night of me. Yeah.
Golly.
Will happen again probably, but
that's all
one
right.
lucky night.
Yeah, it is. Our lucky night.
Thanks for allowing us to come back up here and the Senior Advisory Committee to present on our 2017 goals that we've established. The Senior Advisory Committee is a group that advises and serves as an information source to the senior population. So they're taking ideas and feedback, and then they're bringing those back to the staff under Parks and Recreation. They assist with fundraising and provide outreach services. They're extremely valuable to us as staff. We've created a lot of ideas, from events to trips to programs that have come right from this committee to create a quality community for a lifetime here in Commerce City. We have 3 branches of our committee: the Outreach Committee, Program Wellness, and the Umbrella Committee. We had 18 seats that were filled for this year after an extensive search at the end of 2016 in December. We had a senior focus group that we have every year where we had 22 participants. We invite the entire community to come and provide feedback, and we brainstorm and create our action items for 2017. It's a presentation format. We discuss current information going on in the senior area. It's an open floor discussion on a variety of topics. And then at the very end, we provide the seniors with stickers, and they vote on the ideas and topics that they like the most. The purpose of this group was to involve the interested seniors in the community in small group discussion to identify gaps and then solutions for bridging those gaps, which promote positive change, communication, and participation. I'd like to welcome up our first presenter on behalf of the Program Wellness Committee, Jody Vale.
Good evening, Mayor and councilors. I am Jody Vale, and I am on the Program Wellness Committee. Our members are Thelma Cole, Linda Forney, Olive Grimlord, Joanne Hart, Carol Harvey, Sue Horner, Jenny Loveridge, Claire McKee, Donna Nunley, Beth Scott, Shirley Valentine, and our staff is Glenn Batista and Zach Roth. Our purpose: provide feedback, suggestions, and program ideas regarding the older adult senior program, especially focused on the upcoming brochure. The Program Wellness Committee has 4 goals. First, talent show. 3rd Annual Senior Center Got Talent event will look to expand and improve. Youth Advisory Committee involved. 2nd, holiday meal program. Served full turkey dinners with all fixings to 50 residents last year. Looking to increase that number for 4th straight year. Number 3, senior dance mixer. Interested in hosting a dance event at an outside venue with musical entertainment and food. Youth Advisory Committee involved. And our 4th goal, non-traditional therapy class. Work with senior services staff to create a non-traditional therapy class. Could include therapy practices such as art, laughter, etc. Thank you for your time, and now I would like to introduce George Maxey.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor and councilors, I am George Maxey, speaking for the Outreach Committee. Our committee members are John Myers, Sandy Schmuller, Linda Wolf, Francis Zajac, Tilly Villarreal, and supported by Jody Hardy and Derek Tripp. The cover sheet, if it appears, there we go. The cover sheet of today's presentation, showing one of our vans preparing for last year's Memorial Day parade, is symbolic of the efforts of the Outreach Committee to reach out to the community. The promotion and actualization of the pancake breakfast to fund the Good Friends Fund was a success, and further efforts to broadcast the fund's availability to low-income seniors are in the works. Because many of our seniors have or will have transportation issues, planning has been initiated to have classes on how to use currently available resources. Signs are springing up in our parks to be used to promote activities of the seniors and other city entities. We will be continuing to distribute printed materials to high-traffic locations used by our seniors. Our neighborhood outreaches have been an ongoing success, and efforts to incorporate services and resources both inside and outside the community to benefit our seniors are being addressed. All of this as part of the continuing evolution of the City of Commerce City. Thank you for your attention. Now may I introduce Jenny Loveridge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, George. Good evening, Mayor and councilors. My name is Jenny Loveridge, and I'm here to represent the Umbrella Committee, which contains Clara McKee, George Maxey, Joanne Vale, Linda Wolf, and our staff, Derek Tripp. Once again, time sure does move very quickly to talk about the accomplishments and the challenges we have done and are going to be doing before the year is up. As we start off the advisory committee, outreach program, wellness, and the umbrella, we have come up with some great goals and ideas. What is so great this year, staff has stepped up in helping getting it achieved without resistance to make it go very smoothly. Jody Hardy really helps with the marketing and advertising. She is so wonderful. As of May 6th, we had our annual pancake breakfast, and it was a great success. At our pancake breakfast, we incorporated the youth program. This was one of the best goals we have done. Not only does it help the seniors to share their knowledge to the youth really enjoy and are eager to learn to see what to look forward to in their future. If anything would come out of this, they would meet a new friend, or if they didn't have grandparents, we would fit the criteria. I personally want to thank you for the Rapids game tickets. It was so totally awesome. And I really enjoyed the game. The game was won by the Rapids 3-0. And I would have put up pictures, but I'm not a tech person, so you don't get to see it. As when the new rec center is open, it will be sad and happy event. As faces we know leave, new faces will appear with great and new ideas and suggestions as the world turns. I would like to thank you once again for letting us speak out of the challenges and the accomplishments of the advisory committee. At this time, I would like to invite the staff, Derek Tripp, Zach Roth, Glenn Batista, Jody's not here, and our representatives to come up and answer any questions that you have.
Thank you.
Please.
Thank you.
Does the council have any questions for the Senior Advisory Council? Mr. McEldowney?
More just a comment, and I feel like I make the same comment each time I see you, but I would only repeat it if it were still valid, and that is, it's so cool to hear the work that this collective is doing. Much like my comments earlier this evening, you guys inspire us all. I love the energy. George, you always make me laugh, and I appreciate your energy. All of you. You are the engine that keeps things going, and I think, again, by having you so deeply engaged, I'm trying to think of what Ms. Carson would ask or want to say tonight, and I think one of the things is just the evolution, the maturity of and I'm using maturity in a different context, that as these groups have matured over the last several years, they've evolved and they become more sophisticated. I love just how much clearer the focus is, the interrelationship or interaction between the committees. I remember when the Umbrella Committee sort of first started and how that helped knit things together. It's cool to see it just continue to take shape and evolve, and I'm excited to see what it becomes as the days go forward, and it'll be really neat to see how this group puzzle pieces with the new Senior Advisory Committee that we just adopted tonight. I'm just excited to have this much focus and activism, if you will, from you and the community. So thank you.
I want to thank you all for stepping up what seniors do in our community. You're actually helping other seniors to try to build resources for them to utilize. However, I did notice one setback this last pancake breakfast. I always look forward to at least Thelma coming into the city council meeting and selling tickets. And, I saw it coming up, and I had another obligation. I couldn't attend. But all that went through my mind that entire weekend was, what happened to Thelma? Because I know she does pretty well selling tickets, and I always try to get the people in the audience to purchase tickets. And I started worrying, was Thelma okay? Because it's not like her to come in here and really twist everybody's arm to get tickets for that pancake breakfast. So even though we don't see you all very often, when we do, it's a pleasure, even when Thelma's twisting our arm. So please, if Thelma's not going to come in here and try to get us to buy tickets, the rest of you are all welcome at any time, because I'm the perfect person to get up and go, the council really needs to buy these tickets. So we want the Senior Center and the Senior Advisory Council to continue to grow and provide more and more to our community. And I know we're leaders in this community, but you guys do as much as we do within your own group of residents within our community. So we can't be more thankful than we are for the efforts that you put in to your jobs every day. Even though they're not jobs, they're volunteerism. And we go to the Senior Volunteer Recognition Dinner, we see how much seniors volunteer their time. And it's truly appreciated by this council. So keep up the good work, and thank you very much. I do have Mr. Bullock, who is a little slow to push his button to speak, but I'm going to let him speak this time. Mr. Bullock.
Piggybacking on what you said, today I ran into Thelma at the museum, and I told her that this was going to be brought up tonight, that she didn't make her appearance here to sell tickets, and she explained to me that she was out of town in Iowa campaigning for the next presidency or something. I don't know what she was doing in Iowa. But I guess the state of Iowa is kind of happy that she's back here in Colorado, So,
I'm surprised there's anything left.
Yes, we didn't see on the news that anything was particularly eventful in Iowa. So evidently she had a good visit, but. We did miss her, and we missed her at the pancake breakfast, and we missed her selling tickets, and I'm sure that you would have had probably another 25 tickets sold if Thelma hadn't been in Iowa. And okay.
Now he has to buy double, right, Thelma? He has to buy twice as many as usual. All right. I'll remind him of that. But, yes, thank you all very much. We know that you are a big part of the heart of this community, so thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'd like to thank all our seniors that do help us in making the decisions. We're just speakers, but we try to have everybody's involvement, and it really has improved since I have been doing this. And I really appreciate everybody that, like you guys, I appreciate them for pushing us to do this, to help you guys push us, so we push you. So we got it going.
That's what it's all
Yay!
about.
It's
a love
yeah.
fest.
That's right. Good call, George.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item, Recreation Center renovation design update. And you know what? This probably ought to be pretty interesting to the senior commission that's here. Because we're keeping the steam room, right?
Yes.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
All right. Now, this is supposed to be Danielle Yearsley with CH2M Hell.
I drew the short straw because Danielle was better at operating the
All right, I just
equipment,
wanted
so
to check,
it's a
because Matt
technology
Hergenrader's
thing.
up here, and
It's
I
a
said,
technology thing, Mayor, but thank you for noticing the difference.
all right.
Good evening, Scott Hergenrader with the CH2M team. Danielle Yearsley, my colleague. Krista Plaza with Insenza Architecture is here, and we're going to do a quick update on the schematic design for the Recreation Center. We've got some great news to report. We're declaring this as the completion of schematic design. We'll report out all the input that we got from you and from KIPCAC and from the community, and that will enable us to move on to the next steps. Tonight, we wanted to share where we are with the process. Krista will walk through the schematic design, and we'll talk a little bit about the schedule. You are all, I think, familiar with our inverted pyramid here, and currently we're on track to complete the schematic design here now, and we're going to report out those results. The 2K program goals and objectives, I think everyone is familiar with, but it's about quality facilities, reducing maintenance costs, spending taxpayer dollars wisely, and completing the projects on time. Importantly, as we talk about the Recreation Center and the goals that we've heard clearly from you all multiple times, from the KIPCAC members and from the community, are really fourfold. One was modernize the facility to ensure the structure can serve the community for years to come. To excite the community, and I think Krista will do just that for you here in just a few moments. Create the ability to grow and evolve the programming to meet the community needs with flexible space, and you know we've spoken a lot about future-proofing the facilities and the footprints to enable that to occur. And then phase construction to maximize the opportunity for budget while minimizing impact on the users. So we still have more work to do on that, but we're very mindful of the goals. So with that, let me turn it over to Krista Plaza, if I could, and she'll share the exciting update on where we're at right now. Danielle, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How's everyone doing?
Great.
Are you all awake?
Yes.
Are you excited?
Yeah.
So I first want to say thank you to everyone and all the council members for helping us really come to great conclusions on this project so far. It's been a great process with all of the team members, and we are excited to keep the ball rolling and keep everything moving. So first, we'll start with the schematic design plan. I believe you're all very familiar with this, actually. And the big thing, I believe I have a pointer on this, don't I?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe point to the main entrance. So let's start at the main entrance. And the biggest thing I think to think about is that we're really excited about is to have one main entry point in this facility. Previously there were 3, and that was a little bit of a challenge in terms of operations. So what we wanted to do is look at one main entry point, keep the senior entry point, which is also very important, but make them all a little more exciting and more inviting. So the main entrance will have a nice new canopy. We're looking at a new entry point. It will have a new sign overhead, and we're working on the development of that currently. So the exciting thing about that is when you drive in the south parking lot, you'll see that entry point from that vantage point when you first drive in. So then, looking at the senior area, thank you. We have a new canopy at that location, and that will reflect kind of a smaller type of entry canopy that we'll see from the main entrance. So it'll be kind of a miniature version of the main entry point, so you know where you're entering into the facility. And then as you enter in, we've done a few different things. We are working on developing there are 4 actually remodeled bathroom spaces that would be family changing spaces, a little bit more of an assisted changing space to help with seniors and elderly and their family members. And then we would also have the tech lab, and that would be in addition to what's currently there. We would also have an expanded teen area. And then we would also have 2 community rooms that would be used for public meeting spaces. And those are available to all the public members. One is a small room, probably seats about, I'd say, 8 people. And the other one would seat more like 12 to 14 people. And then adjacent to that is the administration area. In the administration area, we're looking at reworking things to work a little bit better for staff, also IT spaces to work a little bit better, to be better ventilated, to function better, essentially. And then moving off to the right and into the new area, there will be a new front desk right at the main entry. These drawings are design development, so they're all getting into the computer now, so all the details aren't here, but there's a new front desk. And then past the front desk, you go down the hallway to the locker rooms, and the locker rooms will be remodeled, as we've discussed previously. Those will be opened up a great deal so that they are a little bit more secure and there's more safety. People will be a little bit more visible, so there won't be private nooks of areas. And then that will also have direct access from the hallway through to the pool. And then off down the hallway, thank you, Danielle, you continue down the hallway and go back to the right and enter into the family changing area. And there are 6 family changing areas. We've had a lot of discussion about that and how many we would have. Right now there are currently 6. There would be 4 wet and 2 dry family changing areas. And then there would be a storage room beyond that. And then that area would connect to the existing pool. And then from the existing pool, you will go into the therapy pool area. And that therapy pool is one of the most exciting areas, I think, of the addition. And we're going to get into a little bit more detail on that in just a little bit. So we'll come back through that room, and you can see there's pool support rooms that have easy access and deliveries to the parking lot. And then the lifeguard room has been relocated to that corner. And then the steam room is off to the right. So thank you all for your input, by the way, on the steam room. We've had there's a little discussion and back and forth on whether or not we should keep the steam room. And I think it was a very positive thing to keep the steam room because there are a lot of members of the community that are looking to have that. So it was exciting to see that added back. Let's see. And then let's move over to the dance studio. So there was a lot of requests out there to have some viewing area for the dance studio. So we've done a few things. By moving the wall back, we're able to have a little bit more room to allow parents to watch their kids in the dance studio. So that has been adjusted. We're working through the structural details of that, but I think it can be done. And then we also, on the other side of that, to the east, which is up on the sheet, we have the storage closet that works together with the dance studio as well as the large group exercise studio. Then off to the left, we have the 2 racquetball courts. So we did have a lot of input on the racquetball courts, whether they stay or go, and a lot of the community members spoke out and wanted to keep the racquetball courts, so those are still in the plans, so we're happy to see those. And then we also have the expanded free weight, cardio, functional training, and circuit areas, which have grown tremendously from what they used to be. So I think it's going to be a really nice layout, a really nice space for working out for everybody. And then that is the first floor, if you can move to the second floor. So if you look at this plan, just so everyone can understand what this looks like, the gray areas are areas that there is no work. It's probably the roof area or areas below. So the areas in color are basically the areas that we're going to be touching upstairs. First, we have the functional training area, and that area will have things, we kind of designated that as the high-intensity training area. That would have possibly some turf floor, some monkey bar types of things, some battle ropes, maybe there's kettlebells up there, maybe there are some small group exercise classes. So a lot of things can happen in that space, and a lot of flexibility, which I think is what you're all looking for. And then, let's see, the green area is the yoga cycling studio, and what we've done there is we've framed out the wall on the bottom, so when you walk into the room from the back, you're actually seeing a nice long mirror wall that's flat on that wall. So that could be a really great room. I think you're going to have 3 great group exercise studios. I think if we are very creative with lighting and other things, they can be really flexible, and then you will be able to program just about anything in those rooms. So, coming to the fun part. So this is the therapy pool area. I don't think you've seen this yet. We've been developing this with the aquatics team. And what this has is up, first you walk in, and where you enter in is the ramp that comes down. You're basically at the elevation of the deck, and then you slope down, and it goes to about 3.5 feet down at that point. And then you come in, and there's a walking river type of thing where you can exercise, you can walk against the current, you can walk with the current. It really allows for a lot of activities and different types of therapy to go on in that space. And then off to the right, there's more therapy space. On both sides of that pool that we're showing bars, so you can hold onto the wall, and you can do different exercises. There can also be equipment. We actually have a storage room that provides for enough room for portable equipment that goes inside the water and outside of the water. And then also off to the right is a massage waterfall that will allow for, you can sit under the waterfall. It will be a massage type of space where you can sit under it and have a massage. It will also be a sound separator from the lower pool to the upper pool. And the upper pool will have a transfer wall in it, so it will be easy to get into, depending on what your needs are. And then there will also be a chairlift option for the other pool, in addition to the ramp. So many different ways to get in. And then just a few different separations with the pool, so it's a little bit more flexible, and there are different areas for different people to sit in. So I think that is a good overview.
And that water is going to be, only because there's several seniors in the room, the temperature is going to be warmer than the other pool, correct?
It will be, yes. The temperature in the room and the water will both be warmer. Yep. Does anyone have any other questions?
I don't see any.
Okay. Love it.
Okay, thank you.
Well, it's exciting. I think with all of the input we've received, we've captured all of the input on all of the functions and programming in the facility. The architectural team has worked hard to try to accommodate that and create a footprint of the facility that will expand the facility and make it effective and efficient and really deliver on all the needs we've heard. So I think in terms of your system of facilities here, the recreation center, along with the new recreation center and the outdoor pool, you've got a really nice suite and portfolio of capabilities. So congratulations to all of you for creating that quality community for a lifetime. Let's talk about schedule for just a moment so you can see where we are right now in the design process here in Q2 of 2017. So we've now locked down officially with your concurrence the schematic design. So that's the basis that the architectural team will now start to move forward with that design development. Don't worry, there's still going to be an opportunity for additional input, and that next update will come back to you all in the June timeframe with some design development update. The CMGC procurement, you see the short green bar up there. 2 weeks ago on May 1st, you approved the procurement of Golden Triangle Construction. They're now on board. We're getting ready to start those pre-construction services. And so they'll be working hand in glove. You see that. I'm going to do a horrible job here. I guess that's a gold bar, the pre-construction services. Thank you, Danielle. They'll be working hand in glove with the design team, the blue bar, for the pre-construction services and really making sure that that design comes to life and that we're procuring the trade contractors that are actually going to be performing the work through the balance of this year, ready to start in 2018. Now, what you see in that orange bar for phase one construction, which is the pool and locker rooms, and really that takes it all the way out through the end of 2018. Let me tell you importantly what that means. At this early stage of design, that is simply a window of time that we're anticipating the work to be performed in. We're going to work with the construction team and with the architectural team to define specifically what the phasing plan will be inside that facility, which amenities may be capable of being left in play while we're doing the construction, and which may need to be closed down. We're going to get more input from you, from KIPCAC, and the community as we go forward, because obviously there'll be trade-offs. Importantly, what that does not mean is that bar does not mean that the recreation center is going to be shut down in its entirety for that whole time. So I just want to make sure that that's very, very clear. We have more work to do. This is a work in progress, but wanted to give you that update on what that schedule looks like. Lastly, as we take our inverted pyramid all the way down, we're starting design development first thing tomorrow morning as we come out of this meeting. We'll be back to you in June with that design development update. The construction documents will be prepared this fall, and we'll be pricing those at the same time. I think you all know, and we've talked before, there's a lot of competition in the marketplace right now because there's billions of dollars of school bonds that have been issued. This is going to be a very opportune time for us to be pricing this work this fall. As all the summer school work is winding down, we'll be pricing the work and getting ready to begin this work in January. So it's really an opportune time, and we've got a good contractor on board that'll be working with the design team to really try to stretch the available budget as far as it will go. And then we'll look for a groundbreaking opportunity later this year. So with that, we are, just from a communications front, you can just see that the May 25th is the next KIPCAC meeting, so we'll go through the similar schematic design update with them, garner any further input that may be required, and then be back for other updates. So I think we're excited about the footprint, the concepts, the programming. Hope you are too. I think we've captured all of the comments, and we feel very good about where this is at. So if there's any other questions, we'd be happy to entertain those.
Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
I think Andrew had a question.
Andrew, do you have a question?
I just did have a question for you. It's really not a question, it's more of a comment.
Sorry, Councilman.
Looking at the schedule and how this has gone down from the perspective of changing the delivery method of the project from a hard bid to this is exactly how we're going to do it, and then you got to figure out the phasing and staging and all that. This council approved the CMGC last meeting, which allows for the flexibility to be able to stage and to be able to have some budget controls on where we're at. So I just want to point that out because it's a really good indication that we're hearing the services that you're providing along with the general contractor and understanding that we're making sure that we're getting the best use of the taxpayer dollars. So it's important. It's a minor nuance to where we are. So we're marrying the architect and the contractor together to make sure that we get our best value. So thank you again for coming in. I'm excited to see the new therapy pool and what it looks like. And I see there's more detail than just the colorful blocks that we've seen. And I'm happy that we are getting the not only the racquetball, but also the steam room. So that has also been integrated into this design. So good job. And here we go.
Good. Well, thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
All right. Next presentation, Weed Management and Mowing Program Update. Looks like Steve Ortega. Come on up. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of City Council. So I just want to provide you with an update from our 2016 mowing operations and leading into our 2017 mowing operations. So before I get started, I just want to introduce Stacy Reber.
Hi, Stacy.
Hi, good evening. I'm the program coordinator, so I'm overseeing the weed management system that we're going to put in place this year.
So with that said, our program overview. So our program is designed to ensure city right-of-way and open space areas are maintained in accordance with city ordinance and the noxious weed management plan. We want to improve aesthetics within the community, maintain sight lines for motorists and pedestrians, and then proactively plan and complete activities to minimize the occurrence of weed in public corridors. So with that being said, we're taking a more proactive approach. As I addressed last year, we really put this plan in place to be more proactive rather than reactive as we were in the previous years. So the Public Works Department, so Street Division, we maintain all the city right-of-way, city-owned land and open space areas. With that being said, we maintain roughly right-of-way, we're about 128 acres. With the data that we pulled from last year, level of service, we're about 3 times per mowing season. So we start in May, we wrap up sometime in end of September, early October. Future parks and school sites, city-owned land, we're about 116 acres, and that, with the data that we pulled, we feel that we can maintain that service level once a month. Again, that's from May to end of September. And then the open space, that's as needed. We've currently partnered with Adams County for weed spraying, which we'll get into in a moment. So as I mentioned, we utilize our asset traffic tracking software, Cartograph, to accurately track labor, materials, and equipment usage. We also monitor frequency of mowing operations to ensure staff meets established levels of service. And then the big thing that we did last year was partnering with Chris Ness and Adams County for a lot of our noxious weed spraying, and a lot of our open space and our right-of-way locations. So with that being said, I'll pass it over to Stacy.
So like Steve said, last year we partnered with Adams County to do a lot of our weed spraying. And last year, the total weed spraying that Adams County did for us was 387 acres that they sprayed for us last year, which really got us a good feel for how we can wrap our hands around the noxious weeds that the city of Commerce City has. What we are trying to do also is provide our staff with the opportunity to work with Adams County, and Chris Ness, he's kind of the guru of weed management here kind of in Adams County. People go to him, so I'm utilizing him to train our staff on what we can look for and how we can better our staff in doing a more in-house than utilizing Adams County. And with that said, last year we were presented with a partnership award from Adams County. That was given to us by the Colorado Weed Management Association, and it was in recognition of outstanding teamwork and cooperation in the field of weed management. So Chris Ness was very pleased with the City of Commerce City that they're willing to become partners with them to really open up that line of communication between city and county.
So to kind of elaborate a little bit more, I really see what we're doing with Adams County. We have a 3-year contract with them, and what I really want to do going into this year is really spend some time with them, get our staff out in the field with them, get a good understanding of how they operate, so that way we could, again, bring that system internal. So we're currently working with them. We're going to visit their facility here within the next couple of weeks to figure out what type of equipment they utilize, so that way we can start budgeting going forward. So again, taking that proactive approach equals fewer citizen concerns. So if we look at the chart above, in 2014 we received 42 weed requests. We had 32 closed by the due date, and we were past due on 10 of those. In 2015, towards the end of 2015 is when I beta tested the new weed management program. We were sitting at 34 requests, 21 closed by the due date, and 13 that were past the due date. And then 2016 is when we went implemented it full time. So throughout the whole weed mowing season, I only received 1 phone call, 1 complaint on that, so I was pretty proud of that. But overall, we received 25 requests, 23 were closed within the time frame, and only 2 were past that due date. So going into 2017, my goal, my expectation is to keep that under 20, and again, just continue to improve year after year. So with that said, I'll open up to any questions you may have.
I have one that I want to bring up. Last year I noticed that 104th Avenue from Highway 2 to Highway 85, the medians had gotten really overgrown once the construction had ended. And I put a call in. The great news was I saw people out there the next day clearing all of the weeds out of those median areas. And I'm just kind of concerned, is that all Commerce City's the responsibility for maintaining those medians, or is part of that state?
The center medians are state right away. So
While
they're responsible for the center medians, we're responsible for the tree lawns.
For the tree lawns. Okay.
Unirrigated tree lawns.
Right. So I was just curious about that because I knew that some of it was one jurisdiction, some of it was another, and I just want to make sure, because we just built a brand new 4-lane road and spent a lot of money. There were weeds in there that were this big around, and most of the stuff that I had concerns with, it was both on both sides of the road and the medians. But what I noticed was last year when I called that in, it was the next day there was someone out there working on it, and I don't know who all was state and who all was city. So I just want to make sure that we keep up on some of these new things that we're doing. There's a lot of things happening in Commerce City, more things happening in Commerce City now than I think I've ever seen. And we know that's going to generate more and more work and effort from departments. So we're here to hear what those concerns are, what you need for employees to maintain that and equipment. And the partnership with the county, I think, was great because we were starting to see areas in Commerce City that had a lot of that thistle and different type of noxious weeds, and it seemed to really be spreading. And we noticed it spreading into residential yards. That thistle was starting to come up. So I'm glad that we're taking a proactive approach and getting on it. And based on your numbers, it looks like we're doing better at managing those complaints and keeping the complaints down and getting them done, taken care of in a timely manner. So thank you for that. I want to go to the council members who have requested to speak now. Mr. Amador?
I think that was from last time, but good job.
All right. Mr. Teeter?
Yes, thank you for the presentation tonight. This is one of the areas that I like to hear about. I'm really concerned about the thistles in the Commerce City area. What is our window or time frame to attack these thistles? When do we start and when do we stop?
That's what we're working with Chris Ness to identify. So going into last year, we really wanted to utilize Chris Ness to go out to a lot of our locations, identify the weed species that we have in different locations. This year, we're really going to spend more time again with staff, with Chris being, like Stacy said, the guru of weeds, and get to a good understanding of when do we treat them, when do we cut them, do we do that 3 times per year, do we increase or decrease that level. So that's what we're going to proactively do this year.
So do we do? I know we spray them. Do we also cut them, or just
Correct.
we leave them? We do
no,
cut them.
We mow them as well.
Okay. Another second question for you. I'm kind of curious about once we get that 4-lane highway put in on Highway 2, are we going to be maintaining the weed or cutting the weeds between, say, the path and the Arsenal fence, or is that somebody else's territory?
Yes, we'll be mowing those as well.
Good. That's an area that I think needs our attention quite a little bit because the public's going to see that, and I'd like to see that kept low. Thank you.
All right. Mr. McEldowney.
Before I ask my question, just real quick for Mr. Teeter, I was cycling on 96th on the Refuge Trail I think it was last week, and I saw the Refuge team out spraying for noxious weeds. They were on their little golf cart with sprayer, and they actually had segments of the 96th Avenue Trail blocked off temporarily, but they were spraying the trail bed itself and then the area from the trail toward the fence line. So it looks like, that partnership is active, and then I believe I saw mowing operations over in that area today along 96th and in some of our open space. So just FYI on what I saw in terms of activity. Again, I think just a thank you. Obviously, your data helps illustrate the benefits that we're already seeing in the limited time that it's been in place. And so I'm eager to see how that evolves. Obviously, having that partnership with the county is important. One of the things that comes to mind as we talk about this, and I feel like this is something that's also come up in conversations recently and not long ago when we were meeting with the county in general. People have perceptions of what Commerce City is, and a lot of the perceived areas of Commerce City aren't Commerce City yet. And so when people move through our community and they see areas that are unkempt, they don't know that that's unincorporated Adams County, perhaps, versus Commerce City. And so when we really think about where the vast majority of people move through our community, I think this ties into Mr. Teeter's comments about Highway 2, we have one side of it, much of that we don't have the other side of it. And so where we do have direct control, obviously your program is of paramount importance, but I'm heartened by the partnership with the county, and I think if I can offer anything, it would be very strong in that conversation about the attention to those areas that are perceived Commerce City areas that are not in our direct control. And I think, dare I speak for the council, if there is a need for us to have a more aggressive conversation about the prioritization of care for some of these areas, obviously the county has a wide range of terrain that it has to account for. I get the growing sense from this council, and I think a receptivity from the commissioners that recognize we have to look differently at how we care for those areas that are not in our direct control but are perceived to be Commerce City. And I know the mayor has used recently the examples of those CDOT thoroughfares that are not in our direct control, but to somebody driving through our community, that's Commerce City, right? Highway 85 and any part of that stretch is perceived to be us. So the work you're doing is important, and I mean, it's weeds, and maybe that's boring to people, but it has a huge impact, and the ability to, at some level, the areas that are clearly Commerce City and that we're taking great care of will be obvious. But I would love to have a less visible line where we slip into those sort of gray areas. And I'll just follow it up real quick. You responded, and I think it was the question of the mayor about care for tree lawns versus medians. And one of the examples I noticed today, and it's been jumping out at me, is the 7-Eleven right at 104th on the way up to Stewart Middle School. We obviously have what seems like a bit of a parking area for Parks and Rec vehicles, and I know there was some utility work in that area also just west of the bridge on the eastbound side of 104th. But the area directly behind the 7-Eleven, if we in fact control that tree lawn, it's in horrible shape. And so there's this very distinct line of where 7-Eleven's lawn and sort of landscaping ends, and then it just kind of goes to hell. And so I don't know if it's a question mark in terms of we don't necessarily know if we're controlling that piece of the equation or if the property owner, but it's just one of those examples where I know we used to hear from Mr. Benson regularly that those sort of stretches of tree lawn or the segments along the undeveloped parcels can get unruly. And I have seen folks out mowing some of those that are citizens or that abut those properties. But can you just speak a little bit to the tree lawn care on the sort of developed versus undeveloped segments?
Right, and that's been the difficult task, is really identifying whose responsibility, where does that lie. So what I did in going into late 2015 is I identified all of the areas, including tree lawns. For that specific area, I'd have to look into, and I'll get back to you. But a lot of it, again, going back to city ordinance, and that's something that we're trying to support neighborhood service. The hard thing is they're trying to enforce code, saying, hey, mow it to this spec, but while we're not maintaining ours. So that's something that we're definitely aware of, and it's something that we're striving towards.
Okay.
And so, but I will definitely look into that.
Okay. And I'll just close with a comment, or compliment, I should say. I did see a lot of folks active in the medians along 104th, et cetera, doing that sort of seasonal cleaning, and they look great. So there was a lot, treatment for weeds, it looked like. They were removing unwanted plant material, and it looks great. So I know there's a ton of work, and it probably seems like it never ends, but thank you. We noticed that there's movement in the right direction.
Appreciate it.
Steve, there was a few things I wanted to touch on after listening to Mr. McEldowney. One of the things is, I've met recently with CDOT, and I really was tough on CDOT about what areas through Commerce City our state right-of-ways look like, that they need cleaned up. And I know you're going to be meeting with the maintenance guy, and you're going to be looking at areas. One of the things I think would be very beneficial is if the state could coordinate with Commerce City on maintenance of 104th Avenue, so that when you guys are trying to get the tree line areas mowed on the sides of 104th, that the state's in there taking care of the medians.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it's going to, our stuff's going to be half-growed and theirs will be short, and theirs will be half-growed and ours will be short. If we could try to coordinate, and one of the things that has been a problem for many, many years is the state just does not maintain the highways through Commerce City the way they maintain them elsewhere. So I've been really trying to get on them to say, you know what, start cleaning up the medians on Highway 85 and what have you. But I would love to see at least coordination to where we're working with the state to try to time those things. For years, Highway 2 was a state highway, and we got tons of complaints about the thistle patches that were just north of 80th Avenue. Glenn Murray, our local farmer, would come in 3 or 4 times a year, and it seemed like back-to-back about, hey, the thistle's getting ready to bloom and start seeding, and why haven't you guys sprayed it? And it turned into this real problem. One of the things with Highway 2 and the amount of money we're spending on it, and now that it's ours, I want to make sure that we can show our residents that we know how to take care of stuff. So that's a biggie for me with Councilman Teeter bringing that up. I recall those conversations, and it put us in a bad position because everybody thought it was ours.
Right.
And it ties the northern part of our community to the southern portion of our community, and we really need, with the amount of money we're spending, our residents deserve that to really look like a nice corridor. So I think that's truly important, that timing is right for us to be able to highlight how we manage city rights-of-way versus how other people manage their city rights-of-way. So you guys have been doing a great job. I don't know well, I can't say I don't know. I do know what's happening with the dog track, and it looks like we're going to be mowing it again this year. Yep. That's one of the locations that I think we as council members probably receive the most complaints from residents in that area when it comes to weeds on the dog track property. And since we own it, I want to make sure that we're paying close attention to make sure we the worst thing that happens, and even when I was in Public Works, is when a resident can come to a council member and go, you don't even follow your own regulations. You make us meet this standard, and you guys can do whatever you want. So it helps us that you guys find ways to become more proficient in what you do, and by creating relationships with other entities like the county and the state, so that you can do things at the same time to get a better look than to not be coordinating. So, but you guys, at the end result, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, hey, what you're doing is good. Keep these things as some of your thought process when you're looking at doing roadways that are tied to relationships with other entities. So, appreciate the update.
I appreciate the feedback.
Absolutely. Thank you both. Yes, Mr. McEldowney.
Just one more question, and it plays off of the mayor's comment on the sort of dual responsibility corridor, tree lawn versus medians. I find myself really trying to look at the world, and I think as we all should, through the eyes of our constituents who don't know any of this stuff. And so when I'm driving down the road and I see Commerce City logos on street signs, I don't know that portions of this are the state and portions of this are the city. And so I would actually ask the question, beyond just trying to coordinate, where we want to be in control of the perception of that corridor or that resident or passerby's perception of our city, do we instead need to look at key corridors and instead say, we're going to do the weed maintenance in conjunction with ours? Because from an efficiency of operations perspective, wouldn't it make sense to do a median and a tree lawn in the same segment at the same time and figure out a chargeback or some sort of a relationship. Does that make sense?
Well, one of the things that I talked to with the state about is the state doesn't like having highways that are no longer highways, like Highway 2. Highway 2, they didn't maintain it. They did a horrible job because it wasn't a priority. It wasn't a highway. They're dealing with these big I-25s, Highway 85s, and Highway 2 was a non-issue for them. So that's why we did the divulsion of Highway 2, and we took it over. One of the things that the state talked to me about when they were in my office was they are pursuing opportunities to do more divulsions to get rid of roadways that are no longer highways and concentrate on highways, which that would mean that we'd have to negotiate an opportunity for maintenance and everything else to do a divulsion. But going to Mr. McEldowney's concept is, I think that we should look at, and we should have our Public Works Department bring back recommendations of what roadways would make sense for the state to do divulsions on, that would be easier for us to maintain and would tie together with that aspect of one corridor. And so right off the top, certain areas come to mind for me. 104th, where we have state pieces in there, and our residents don't know that difference. What do we get out of it? And I know there has to be attorneys and city managers involved, and there has to be negotiations on what those maintenance dollars would be if we were to take it over. The other one that comes to mind that has always been a headache in Commerce City is Brighton Road. Brighton Road's a state highway. Brighton Road, to anybody else driving down Brighton Road from basically 69th, 68th Avenue to the south, it is perceived as Commerce City. And it's highly industrialized, no sidewalks, and it's in terrible shape. And you guys wouldn't recall, but there was a gentleman by the name of Gene Leffel that would come to our council meeting all the time, and he actually had 6-inch rulers made up. And he would show them to us at council meetings. Every citizen communication, he'd get up, and he would have pictures that he would pass out to the council of weeds along Brighton Road, where he was standing there and he would show his 6-inch weed ruler and these weeds that were 4 or 5 feet high. The downside to it is, even a guy that came to every council meeting for many, many years without ever missing a meeting didn't get the concept that that's not our road. Correct. So it made it real tough for us because we do cite the railroad and we do cite the state if needed to meet our ordinances on weeds. But then again, they don't take care of them. So our residents come back and go, hey, why are you picking on me? My weeds were only 8 inches high. These are 4 feet high. Yeah. So think about that when you're looking at weed maintenance and right-of-way maintenance. Highway 224, 104th Avenue, Brighton Road. If there are ways to work with the state and make sure we get that cost share back for maintaining those right-of-ways, it would be much more beneficial for us to maintain them than it would be for the state, because the maintenance is literally none, and it would benefit our residents. So keep that in mind. I think that's kind of what Mr. McEldowney was going to.
I do, and I think the mayor's right in terms of ultimately we need to coordinate and solve for the divulsion of some of those corridors. But in advance of that, are there things that make sense for us to try and do to have a better control of the image? And I think the reason this is so top of mind for me right now, and I'm sure everybody here has seen who owns a piece of property, recent changes in your assessed value, and that has sparked fireworks of conversations in social media and backyard barbecues around how much money people are paying in taxes and how little visual impact that has on their existence. And unfortunately, for all the gains we've made in knitting together the north and west and east and southern portions of our community, one of the first things people cite is, I pay all these taxes, I live in the northern range, but they're not spending the money in the other part of town to make it look better. And when you really get into the examples of where these people are talking about concerns, it's some of those areas that I'm describing, which are set in the county. It's not us. And so it's difficult to have those conversations with our constituents and defend that we are doing some amazing things, and we are being incredibly fiscally savvy, and we have staff who are thinking differently and in a more sophisticated way every day about how to do what we do, and squeeze every penny out of every dollar. But visually, to the citizen at the end of the day, if you have to explain it in longer than 30 seconds, it's not always going to sink in, and that's part of the challenge. So you guys have a huge challenge. You're doing great things, but just some seeds for consideration, I think, to kind of leave with you as we look at how these programs evolve. So thank you.
Absolutely. Mr. Douglas.
Yes, thank you very much for your presentation and explaining all the ins and outs of Public Works. I was going to see if we can get a head start with HOAs in the areas that are back up to open space. A lot of them are really confused on if they have to mow it or if the city property mow it. If we could reach out to them and let them understand what your mowing schedule is on a monthly basis. You don't mow it once a week. And where our boundaries are. Frontier, Reunion, there's Outlook, several other, throughout that northern area. Other question I had, when you guys drive through the neighborhoods and there are abandoned shopping carts, do you guys round those up and pick them up off the streets?
We do.
Okay. I would like to send you some addresses. I drove through the area today, and I found at least 3, and had a complaint. We did when we had our telephone town hall meeting, and I asked the lady, I gave her my number, and she called me, and she identified where the carts are. These carts move throughout the week, throughout the night. But I'll send those addresses for what I saw today. One's in an alley, one's outside the house. One does belong to Keen Super, so you can actually take that over to Keen Supers, and they'll take care of that one.
That's normally what we do. We return them back.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, now we go to administrative council business. My understanding was we have to schedule a special meeting for next Monday, correct?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. You might have seen on the agenda, we did have scheduled tonight an exec session regarding negotiations with Denver related to the Pena on-ramp. We actually pulled that from tonight. Would propose that we do that next week to give us an opportunity to provide an update during the special meeting before the exec session of the broader context around design, construction prices for the Pena ramp and the Denver portion of Tower Road that we've been working with Denver on. So all that's needed tonight is to set a special meeting for next week. We would propose to do it after the study session.
It's fine with me. Council have any problems? You need to have a motion on that? All right, I'm open for a motion. Mr. McEldown.
I would move to have a special session following our study session on Monday, May 22nd.
Thank you. Mr. Teeter?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. I do have a couple other administrative council business items. One of those is that I will be out of town the 20th through the 24th, I believe is what it is. Saturday to Wednesday. 20th through the 25th. Mr. Bullock will be the mayor while I'm out of town. So I will not be here next Monday night for that study session or for the special meeting with the executive session. So any complaints that might come in over the next week, please flood the gates, give them all in advance to Mr. Bullock.
Don't save nothing for me. The mayor's here till Wednesday or Saturday.
So then I have one that I just recently told the council, please don't bring these up during administrative council business. Just talk to Brian. However, because I continue to forget and because it was a former city council member who brought this complaint, and he was concerned that it was falling on deaf ears, that I figured I would. It's not funny, Rick. He's probably watching.
It's my brother. He's not watching. He's sleeping.
All right. Well, Rocky Teeter caught up with me and told me about a bunch of trailers.
I gave the pictures already.
Did you
I've
give them
already-
pictures? You guys
I've
got them
already
already?
turned those pictures in of the
49th and
trailers.
Forest.
Troy got them.
All I care is that Rocky Teeter, if you're watching, the city's going to take care of it. Troy Smith is
Yes,
the
sir.
guy. So
We received those pictures last week. They've been forwarded to the PD. We were verifying whether or not that location was actually in the city limits, and if not, we'll refer to Denver, but we're following up on it.
it is. And talking about Public Works, that particular curve on 49th and Forest was the area when I worked in Public Works, we called that Furniture Row because that's where everybody dumped all their old furniture. And those of us in Public Works would have to go up there and pick up all this old furniture. And it still is that dumping ground for old furniture. However, now there's a bunch of abandoned semi-trailers with no plates or no nothing and a bunch of graffiti. So whatever we need to do to get that portion of Commerce City cleaned up. I know there's not very many people that even know that's Commerce City, but Rocky Teeter does. And I don't want him picking on his big brother anymore, so we're going to try to get that one taken care of.
I ignored him as long as I could, so I went to the mayor.
Thanks, Rick. Thanks, Rick. All right, we're going to get, is there any other administrative council business before we get going? Mr. McEldowney.
Two quick things. I, too, have some vacation to put on the docket. I will be out from the 28th of May, returning June 9. Second, I had a question that I posed to Brian this past week, similar to the mayor, not trying to bring up certain issues in public, but I think this is one that we just had some conversation prior to the meeting, and it's one that I'd like to see us reflect on and come back. So I know Mr. Douglas had brought up a question about the little banner poles on the streetlights that are now lining Tower Road. And it occurred to me, driving that almost every day, that was a heck of a lot of banner poles. And in my head, I had this recollection of conversations where we said, well, it doesn't make sense to put banners on every single light post on an entire road because, well, you really don't see that anywhere. And we had conversations about concentrating them before and after an intersection, similar to what we see, let's say, in Reunion, right? When you're at 104th and Tower, you have a handful of poles in either direction that have some banners on them. Some of them are pretty static, others change. So again, driving down Tower, I called Brian last week and I said, are we really supposed to have banners on every single one of these poles? Because two things happen. One, if we have all these little poles and we don't have anything hanging on them, I guarantee that the people that are sitting in these seats in a little while from now are going to get calls saying, why do you have all these little poles on the poles? Second, the cost over the long term of trying to put banners on every single one of those poles doesn't necessarily make sense. And so the purpose of the Administrative Council business is to have us consider an actual strategy, a plan for banners. What do you do with them? What kind of stuff goes on them? When do you post them? Certainly, we have the historical, the historic practice of placing the holiday decorations in Derby, but we don't have a bannering practice. And so rather than have every road have its own sort of unique configuration, let's have some discussion that says, when we build a road, we will at max put banner poles on only so many in each direction. And that, complementary to that, well, let's see, well, what do you do about those, right? Should we have some down by Dick's Sporting Goods Park for certain special events? Do you hang Dick's Sporting Goods Park related banners over on 104th and Tower? I mean, what are we going to do? So the point to all that is, Brian found that we didn't have specific conversation around Tower, apparently, in that regard. We apparently had that conversation in Highway 2, and so there aren't plans to have them on every single light pole along Highway 2. So I don't know if anybody else didn't have the recollection that we had not sort of reconciled that, but either way, I felt that that was one that I would rather have everybody aware of the question that was posed and maybe be thinking about that as staff looks at when it makes sense for us to have that conversation.
Okay.
If you guys are supportive of that conversation.
Absolutely. All right, Mr. Douglas.
Good, thank you. Yeah, some of these I can, I thought about just sending them out, but I get a lot of these, some things are similar, and just want to take care of these. But to Jason's point, we did have a conversation about the banners. Maybe not as many as on the road, Tower Road, but as far as knowing you come into the city, what we can showcase to people traveling that area, especially with the Rapids. We really need to work with them as far as showcasing that stadium. The thing I had, a couple of them. One is 102nd in Olathe Way and Buckley Ranch. There's a cutout there. There's a roundabout at 102nd Place in Olathe Way, and that's going to be a future road going north out towards 104th. A lot of people are asking, since it's in Buckley, can they just keep it as a park? But that's going to be a future plan. So see if we can get an update on what the future design of that cutout's going to be. Because right now it's just an open space that's dedicated for a future road. The other thing is 104th and Tower on the intersection there. It came to my attention there's pedestrian crossing signs, but there's no pedestrians that cross through there. So what happens is people sit at that light, the pedestrian light comes on. There is no place for people to go to, no destination, but it's stalling the traffic. 104th and Tower. So the signals will come on to walk, but there's no sidewalks for people to walk. So if we could...
Sorry, just trying to get a clear picture. 104th and Tower.
104th and Tower.
Yeah.
What intersection there?
Which?
To the, well, just the intersection, 104th and Tower.
I'll tell you that I use the pedestrian crossings as a bicyclist, and I see bicyclists using those crossings all the time to move in either direction. So maybe it's not people on 2 feet.
Well, I'm just hold on. No, it's
I'm just trying to understand.
It's going eastbound on Tower and 104th. Okay, and get to the intersection there. The other side there, as you go towards E470. So there's going to be any bikes going to that section over there. I'm just saying it just causes. Now, if we could have it where people push a button to get across, so that it still functions, but it's automatically it cycles by itself.
It's not a problem for us to check those pedestrian signals and make sure they're functioning correctly.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see. One more to, I know Jason's talking about, we had brought things up when certain things come into play, like maybe a school gets built and making sure there's safe routes. I had some parents that their kids are going to be relocated to Stewart, and they live on 120th and Chambers. And I know we put the crusher fine and all that stuff, but we don't really have a safe route for those kids to walk from 120th and Chambers all the way down to Stewart. And I just see if some of that safe, safe routes to kids funds, if there's anything available to help with maybe putting some hard path in there or so. It is a long walk, and if they have to go through the neighborhood. It makes it quite a journey.
Well, so they're greater than a mile, so they're qualified for bus service.
Well, not necessarily, not where they're at. That's what the parents are being told. Even working with Brighton, when you go down to 120th to Prairie View Middle School, same thing. There's a sidewalk over the bridge, but when you get down, because that's Brighton and there's the county, there's no safe sidewalks for those kids to walk from Sable down 120th across to get to Prairie View Middle School either.
Just to clarify, there is bus service available. It's just parents have to pay for it.
No, I'm just telling you this is what they've been told. So I'm just saying as far as there's a certain distance required when the kids live a certain distance, the bus is available, and the kids who use it's less distance, they have to walk.
So I'm not trying to debate this, but I'll just as an example say from my house in South Lawn to Stewart Middle School is closer than Stewart Middle School to 120th and Chambers, and my daughter rides a bus from South Lawn.
Okay, I'm just saying what the...
So I think the point here is the question relative to bus service needs a definitive answer back from district staff, and then if the question or the question out of that is the child is trying to make a movement from Stewart home outside of when the bus operates, it's a different conversation. And I do agree with you that not unlike the work that we collaborated on with Brighton and 27J to develop the hard surface trail westbound out of Prairie View High School toward Peoria was a great project. We've talked previously about the challenges east of there on 120th, but you may recall that we turned over that road again back to Brighton. And so technically, to my understanding, the responsibility for a vast majority of that stretch is going to fall to Brighton in terms of sidewalk. And then the question is what happens on the other side. And I think, well, we just maintained we resurfaced the bridge over the highway there at 120th. We don't have sidewalk contiguity. And so this again goes into that sort of boundaries, borders conversation, and our walk bike plan. So I'm in full support of it. I just think, again, this is one of those things we have to determine
I
as
got
part
a
of our...
suggestion.
Yeah.
How about we allow the staff to reach out to the school district, make sure that the routes that are called out have adequate bus service. If not, then I think we need to be having a conversation, especially on the unincorporated areas with the commissioners. And the incorporated areas, we need to make sure that there is safe routes to school, and I know we have professional staff to look into that. Thanks for bringing it up, Steve, but I really think that's the direction it should go.
Oh, that's fine.
All right. Okay. No other administrative council business. We're going to move on into reports. Mr. McBroom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We did send out a very short city manager update tonight. I will also miss next Monday's study session. I actually have a daughter graduating from law school next Sunday, so my wife and I are flying out of town to watch her graduate. So we're very happy about that, but I will miss next Monday's study session.
Protect your job, Matt Hader. She's a law school graduate.
Sadly, the city's policies prevent me from hiring my own daughter. But
I know it. I'm just giving him a hard time.
City attorney does report to council, though, so that could still be arranged.
Yeah, I know.
Nothing further from us.
All right. I do have some legal questions that need to come up and get some legal advice for the council concerning several of the actions that we took tonight. In honor of having Matt sitting in Robert's chair, I'm just giving him a hard time. I don't have any legal advice, but he told me, please don't overload me tonight. I do think it's appropriate to say congratulations to Robert Sheasley and his wife on the birth of their first child. From my understanding, a little girl that is doing well.
When was it born?
When was it born?
Tuesday morning.
Thursday, I think?
Tuesday morning is my recollection at around 2:30 a.m.
Awesome. So, congratulations to the Sheasley family.
Congratulations.
Now it's not just him and her, it's a family, which is great for Robert. So he's going to be taking a few more weeks off. So he'll be well rested when he comes back to
no, he won't.
his duties.
Well, for some strange reason, he indicates he's not getting a lot of sleep.
No kidding. He'll probably be back before we know it. All right, I'm going to turn it over to the Deputy City Attorney for any reports.
I have nothing for council tonight.
All right, thank you. I only have a few reports tonight, but I know other council members will chime in. We had Rotary. The Cowpie Bingo went off really well. It didn't last long, but for the Rotary's first shot at Cowpie Bingo, I think it was a worthwhile fundraiser for the organization, and most of that, if not all of that money, comes back into our community for good use. I had an ACED Executive Committee meeting for the month, and the highlight was on water and on the site selector piece that will be showcased. A lot of that will be around the stadium and for Commerce City, the stadium and the refuge. ACC meeting, me and Rick both attended the ACC meeting this past week. Airport Coordinating Committee is doing their job. We're interviewing and looking at specialists for the noise monitoring side of things. We kind of held off on noise monitoring for a little while. Not that it wasn't being done, it just wasn't the top of the order. So we're looking at new flight patterns that may have an effect on our community. And so for the council and for residents that are here, one of the things that DIA is looking at doing is shifting their flight patterns and going from 9 points of takeoff that are dispersed over, most of it's over our community in the Reunion area. They are looking at dropping that back to 3 points of contact where they, the downside to the whole thing is there's going to be a lot more planes over those 3 flight patterns than there were over 9. Most of the communities that are members of the ACC have the same kind of concerns, and the ACC and its legal advisors are preparing a letter cautioning the airport about changing these flight patterns, because if you sit in one of those flight patterns, you're going to get much more activity because those 9 would be shoved down into 3%. Now that the planes run off a GPS, they can tighten those lines up. So that means all the planes will go over those 3 points of impact over our community instead of being spread over 9. Huh? And no noise monitors. But the one good thing is now the noise monitor system that we had is antiquated, and they're looking at other ways to monitor the noise, and there are other ways to achieve violations. Those violations would come based on patterns and what that noise would go up to. So we're actually working on getting a new person to do those statistics of what those noise levels are over certain areas. So with the new next gen stuff that DIA is looking at, and with the new flight patterns and everything else, we are sending in a response letter to their 3 points of impact going from the 9. So I just want to make sure residents and this council knows that we may, they have been having community meetings, and they have an opportunity for people to comment. So you could probably go to the Denver Airport webpage, find out when those meetings are being held and where they're going to be held, so that you can go and you can object to anything that may be negative for where you live. But you're talking about Thornton, Brighton, Commerce City, North Glen, Aurora, and Adams County, all as multiple governments stepping up to try to help lighten the impact of airport noise on our communities. And so what's going on at Denver is not what the governments are trying to find other ways. If it was up to us, everybody would take off to the east, fly out over these less populated areas to get their altitude, and then come across the residential areas. But that's not going to happen, because most of why they're going to 3 flight points of contact are for fuel saving purposes. So, we continue to monitor that. And next update, I'm going to have Rick Teeter give you guys the update so that he can get a little action. That's what you need, right, Rick? More action. And then we had Rotary again this last Wednesday. And again, I will be out of town So if there's something someone else would like to add to reports, I'm finished with mine. Mr. Douglas, your light's still lit up? You got something?
No.
All right.
Okay, I have something.
All right, Mr. Bullock, since you have to.
We had the Gene Klein Angel Award not last Sunday, but 2 Sundays ago, and the recipients were Suncor, Murray Farms, Ace Hardware,
Go ahead. Tell us
What?
the rest.
Yeah, what's the gentleman that helped found Commerce City? Russ Watterson, and well, I should have had this written down.
Yeah, you should
And the
have.
Commerce City Business and Professional Association gave their awards to Tom Green and what? Oh, and Bimbo Bakers.
All right, Bimbo Bakers and Tom Green. All right, if there be no further business to come before this city council this evening, we are adjourned. Thank you all for being here or watching from home.
Loretta Garcia.